好，早晨各位，今日係
Good morning, everyone. This is the special meeting of the Constitutional Affairs Panel, and it's a particularly lengthy meeting. This is a public hearing, and let's invite the deputations and the individuals, as well as the administration team, to join us. Item 1 on the agenda. Consultation document on the method for selecting the chief executive by universal suffrage. The paper has been circulated to members, including the consultation document on the method for selecting the chief executive by universal suffrage and a statement by the chief secretary for administration, as well as the background brief prepared by the secretariat. Good morning, everyone. This is the special meeting of the panel on constitutional affairs, and it's a public hearing, and we'd like to extend our welcome to all the deputations. We have divided our meeting into 6 sessions, and the first session is from 9 a.m. to 10:35, and we have 29 deputations and individuals attending this session. And then in a moment, I'll be calling upon the deputations to speak, and every deputation will be given 3 minutes, and after the time is up, there will be a beeping sound, and then you will be invited to stop. And for those of you with written submissions, we do welcome that, and please pass it on to our staff. And I'd like to take the opportunity to remind you that for deputations and individuals making their remarks here, you are not covered by the Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance, and therefore there will be no exemption granted on you, and your written submission would also not be covered by that ordinance. And while you speak, please speak close to the microphone, and if you are concerned that you might not be hearing the remarks properly, you can tune into the earpiece. Channel 0 is the floor, and then channel 1 is Chinese, and channel 2 is English. And I'd also like to remind you that for people attending meeting in the complex of this building, and also those in the public gallery, with regard to the security guidelines, they have been circulated to members and also deputations before the meeting, and a copy of them is also available on the table in front of you, so you can refer to them when necessary. So after the deputations have spoken, I'll invite the officials from the Constitutional Affairs and Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Bureau to speak, and today we have Mr. Lau Kong-wah, the Undersecretary, with us. So I'll be grasping the time more tightly today because we do have many deputations here with us. So the first one is Mr. Lai Chi-shing. Thank you. I'm the deputy spokesperson for the DAB. With regard to the documentary release, we welcome that, and we support the consultation exercise. And in order to implement universal suffrage, that would provide us a step forward. And with regard to the CE election system, we will have to adhere strictly to the basic law and also the NPCSC's decision, so that we can take a progressive step forward steadily. And we would be speaking proactively, so that for the 5 million eligible voters would like to fight for their interests. And according to the consultation document, we have the following comments. First of all, with regard to the nominating committee's constitution and also the election methods, according to opinion polls, over 50% of the public are in favor of the constitution of the nominating committee, making reference to the election committee, so that there would be 4 broad sectors. And also according to the 831 decision by the NPCSC, we believe that the number of the nominating committee should be 1,200. With regard to the candidates for the CE election, according to the second decision number 2.2 of the NPCSC decision, there is no strict restriction. Therefore, we believe that in the second stage consultation, we believe that the nominating procedure should still apply. That is no less than 1/10 of the nominating members will have to provide support, and he can become a nominee. And then with regard to the proposal under the nominating document, that is the cap should be no less than 1%. I think that would increase the competition at the stage of nomination at the nominating committee. I think that's in line with the proposal by the DAB. That's why we would be prepared to support it. With regard to the nominating system, we believe that every nominating member should have cast 1 to 3 votes, and then for candidates who managed to for the top 2 candidates or 2 to 3 candidates getting the largest number of votes, they should become candidates for the CE election. If there are more, then for candidates who have managed to garner less than half of the votes, there should be another round of election, so that there can be until the time when they can return 2 to 3 candidates for the election. And we will also have to ensure that the chief executive will be supported by the majority of the voters. He will have to get more than half of the votes of the eligible voters, and therefore we support the proposal by the consultation document, so that there can be 2 rounds of voting. With regard to the related issues like the appointment by the central government, well, after the candidates have been returned, then there needs to be an appointment by the central government before he can become the chief executive. We believe that the law should be amended so that if the candidate is not appointed by the central authorities, then there needs to be another round of election. Well, for the friends on that side, you have put a sign before you. I suggest that you should put that down for the time being, and then by the time when you're invited to speak, then you can put that up again, and that would also enhance the effect of that. Next, Mr. Ngan. Well, as a young person, I think having one man, one vote is what I aspire for. But then there are some forces in the community resulting in a situation whereby we have gone astray, and as a result, that would reduce the role to be played by the nominating committee, and they even resort to unlawful means to challenge the core values of Hong Kong. Well, democracy is about inclusion, and we respect the individual's wishes and aspirations, and majority should rule. And therefore, by democracy, the most important thing is about respect for individuals. And many people are talking about democracy, but then they've forgotten about the importance of respect for others. And I think it's important that everybody should be involved in the process of politics, and therefore we can have democracy by respecting that. And we must remember that we have to accommodate different opinions in the process of democracy, and we have to respect the majority view. And Professor Albert Chen from the University of Hong Kong also said that Hong Kong is not an independent state, and therefore we have to respect the system that we have. We cannot just go for the systems elsewhere. That's why we have to respect a system whereby Hong Kong's role can be fully respected, and we have to respect the right of the central authorities in appointing the chief executive. And if we do not take heed of the one country, 2 systems principle, then Hong Kong will not be able to get anywhere, and we will have to resort to rational means in going for what we ask for. And even though the NPCSC decision might not be able to satisfy everyone, it's still a very important step forward. That's why we believe that from whatever angle you take, the 2017 election method is still a big step forward, and therefore when compared to the past system of having just 1,200 members of the election committee electing the chief executive, it represents a major step forward. And we can never achieve everything overnight, and therefore Hong Kong people should grasp the opportunity of the constitutional reform so that we can have discussion and dialogue with all sectors, so that we can foster a consensus, and then we'll be able to take the first step forward in universal suffrage for the chief executive, I don't think standing still is what we asked for, and therefore if we repeat the history in 2005, then we will not be able to make any progress, and there will be the momentum will be lost, and that will also not be helpful in nurturing our future talents, and that will also damage the trust between the central authorities and Hong Kong, and that will also dampen the interests of Hong Kong people in discussing this.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, members and ladies and gentlemen. As someone born in Hong Kong, like the rest of the population, I share the aspiration. That is, in 2017, we should be able to achieve the election of the CE by universal suffrage, because this is an important, step forward in our, march towards democracy. And 5 million voters will be able to elect their own CE through a one-person, one-vote system. In Hong Kong, we have the rule of law, and I think we should, the law should be, we should abide by the law, and I therefore strongly object to some people who only express their own views without, taking into consideration the overall situation of Hong Kong. Whether you are, a corporation or an organization, whenever you implement any policy at all, you will need to adopt a progressive and orderly approach. You would not try to change the old system overnight and implement a new system. In Hong Kong is a mature society, and I believe that all of our policies and the measures that we implement should only be made in a progressive manner. We shouldn't take any risk and change the whole system overnight. Some people challenge the representativeness of the candidate. I believe that we can try to put forward proposals regarding the composition of the nomination committee. If we think that it is not representative enough, we can certainly make suggestions to improve on that. I believe that we need a basis before we can make any improvements for certain sectors. For example, women. Although some women do not work, however, they still make significant contributions to our society. So I wonder whether we could consider adopting women as a sector in the election committee, in the nomination committee. The basic law stipulates that the nomination committee is a nominating organization, and I agree that we should use that as a basis. There are suggestions for regarding civic nomination and nomination by political parties, and I think we should abide by the same foundation which I referred to earlier regarding the number of candidates for the CE election. And some people argue there shouldn't be any screening. But we're now electing our chief executive. If more than close to 100 candidates can step forward as candidates, then we may have to pay a very, a lot of administrative cost. I really hope that we'll be able to have universal suffrage for the CE election in 2017. Mr. Yuen meant, we're able to elect a CE by universal suffrage in 2017 would mean that 5 million eligible voters will have the right to vote. I think we should remember that 5 million voters will have the right to vote. If if the proposal for political reform is vetoed by some electoral members, then it would mean 5 million people would have lost their right to vote for in the CE election. So I think we should consider the rights of those 5 million voters. Even though there is such a demand, we cannot give up the chance to express our views regarding the development of our the future development of our political system. In the current proposal, we're talking about two stages, the nomination stage and the election stage. And today I'd like to talk about the election stage. I believe that at the stage of the election for the CE, I think we should, I think according to the decision by the NPCAC made on August the 31st, it is suggested that we should have 2 to 3 candidates when we have 2 to 3 candidates, and I believe that the supplementary voting system is feasible. If the nomination committee nominates 2 candidates, naturally, then one of the candidates will be able to win a majority of the votes. Where you have 3 candidates, the candidate with the least number of votes will be eliminated. And naturally, you will be left with the two candidates with the highest number of votes. And the 2 candidates with the higher number of votes, there would be a difference between the number of votes that they have obtained. The one with the higher number would probably have a majority of the votes, and then the CE system, the CE election system could be based on that system. And in future, I think in future we may change the system for the CE election. The number of candidates could be changed. That is not impossible. Where you have, say, 4 candidates for the CE election, the supplementary voting system could become an instant runoff system. So this supplementary voting system could be a pilot and serve as a basis for any change in the future CE election. And the public can also learn from the experience, and only by casting their votes once we'll be able to return the CE candidate. Since 5 million people will be casting the votes. Next, Mr. Lau Chung Sun. Thank you. I'm Lau Chung Sun. I fully agree with the decision of the NPCSC made on August 31st and what is stipulated in the Basic Law for the Universal Suffrage of the CE in 2017. And I have the following suggestions regarding the election. First of all, the composition of the nomination committee should comprise the 4 sectors and 38 subsectors of the election committee. On that basis, the 38 subsectors, the method for the return of the 38 subsectors, I think that arrangement should remain to change. For the electorate of the 38 subsectors, they should remain the same. Thirdly, the nomination procedure. There should be, recommendation and nomination by the members. So those who obtain a nomination from 120 of the members, then the candidate recommended by the members could stand for election. And each member can only recommend 1 candidate. And then the members of the nomination committee will vote on the candidates, and the candidate with the highest number of the 2 or 3 candidates with the highest number of votes will become the candidates. The nomination committee can only cast the votes as an organization, and the candidates will be able to explain their manifesto to the members of the nomination committee and the general public. Fifthly, the nomination committee should have a term of 5 years, so that in case there is a vacancy arising, then the nomination committee can nominate candidates for the new round of CE election. The voters will elect the CE by a one-man, one-vote system, and I think there should be a 2-round voting system, and there should be also an instant runoff system. If the candidate returned by election is not appointed by the central authorities, then we should have a new round of election, and we should amend the CE election ordinance. And we should maintain the requirement that the CE should not belong to any political party. And number 8, after the nomination committee is formed at the nomination stage, then the committee can vet the eligibility of the candidates. According to Section 44 of the Basic Law, and the candidate should have the duty to observe the Basic Law, and also have an allegiance to the SAR of Hong Kong. I agree with the provisions in the Basic Law and the decision of the MPCSC, a decision made on August 31st last year. Hong Kong is a local municipality. We don't have any reserve power. Regarding the proposal for this C election, I suggest first of all that for the nomination by the nomination committee, I think there should be nomination and recommendation by members of that committee. For the part regarding recommendation by members, then people from different sectors will first satisfy the threshold for nomination, and then members of the nomination committee will have more choices. Regarding the threshold, I think any candidate who obtain 150 nominations can become a candidate, and each contestant, the nomination of each contestant should not have more than 300 members. Otherwise, most of the nominations will focus on one or two candidates that wouldn't result in a smaller number of candidates. Regarding the members of the nomination committee, I think each member can cast 2 to 3 votes. And finally, the 2 or 3 candidates with a majority of votes will officially become the candidates for the election, and that can provide more choice for members of the nomination committee. So long as they satisfy these basic requirements, the candidate will satisfy the threshold. It will also satisfy the guideline laid down by the MPCSC that there should be 2 or 3 candidates. Regarding the return of the CE by I think the whole election process should be efficient, so that we don't have to have a new round of candidates simply because no candidate has obtained a majority. So the supplementary voting system is reasonable. If among the 3 candidates none obtains a majority of the votes, then I think we can count the number of the votes of those who have been eliminated. And then we don't have to have a second round of election resulting in a waste of resources. As I said, the power of the SAR government is given to us by the central authorities. In considering the need for national safety, it is reasonable for the MPSC to lay down the framework for the CE election. In the past, we didn't have any right to elect the governor, but now we have this opportunity to elect the CE by universal suffrage. We therefore shouldn't miss that opportunity. And I therefore hope that the proposal for the political reform this time will be endorsed, and that the public can really exercise the right to elect our own CE. Next, Mr. Wai Ping Kong. Thank you, Chairman. I am, a former part-time consultant of the Strategic Commission. The central government has recently indicated that the anti-Occupy Central movement has not yet ended. There's yet more to come. I'd like to explain what is meant by there's yet to become. The opposition camp claims that they will boycott the second round of consultation of political reform, but some of them are still in this chamber this morning. So they are actually acting in a very inconsistent manner. And recently they've actually resorted to walkouts to respond to the proposal for political reform. They've done a good show in terms of the walkout, but I think you should walk out and never return to this chamber. Members of LegCo, they actually put on all kinds of props and put up, and stage a fast in LegCo almost every day, and we are tired of it. I think you should really learn from the wife of Xi Jinping, who really is an elegant lady, but you really are putting on an ugly show. If you want to put on a fast, you should go to the West Kowloon Cultural District and apply for a venue to put up such a show yourselves and to enter the public. So there's yet more to come. The opposition camp shouldn't think that if they simply surrender themselves to the police, nothing else will happen. Recently, I've gone to Beijing, met with the central leaders. I've learned that the central leaders in the authority will certainly stage a struggle against these opposition people in the opposition camp. The pan-democratic camp now are really, in a very nervous situation. The pan-democratic camp always, quote the opinion of Hugo Swire. Have they forgotten that the constituency is in Hong Kong rather than a county in the UK? So are you loyal to the United? Have you switched your loyalty to the United Kingdom?
You cannot have two masters, and therefore, even if you try to naturalize yourself and become a foreign citizen, you should not have done that at all, because Hugo Swire is just from the Foreign Ministry of the UK, and he's not even a minister in the UK government, and yet you are trying to curry favor from him. And does it mean that when the UK government spokesperson speaks, you will have to, so when Cameron speaks, does it mean that you will have to be on your knees? In fact, Cameron doesn't even have any influence on the Chinese government, let alone Hugo Swire. But then for the under-secretaries, they don't even have a chance to go into number 10 Downing Street. Yes, I'd like to ask the gentleman to withdraw his remarks, and he said that anybody wearing yellow is really hard to bear. I think you're asking people to pocket what is offered, and therefore we can discuss it next time. But then, what is meant by progressive and orderly? Progressive order. For example, in 2005, we have already pocketed that. Does that mean that we have already taken a step forward? So how come we still have the 831 decision, which is against the basic law? And if you look at Article 5, 45 and 68, and also Annexes 1 and 2, you will be able to identify at least 6 areas where the 831 decision is in breach of those provisions. All right, you've been saying that you have to act in accordance with the law, and yet you are actually asking us to work under the unlawful framework of 831 decision. So what kind of law are you abiding to? And recently there have been sources saying that for the constitutional reform package submitted to this council, in 2022, we'll be able to amend or revise the nominating method in 2022. In fact, we are actually copying that again. Why do we have to do it again? So does that mean that the SAR government also admits that the 831 decision has not been in line with the basic law, and also the NPCSC and the SAR government will be having their next terms? So will anybody be willing to honor the promises made by the SAR government this time? All right, because of what happened, that's why you had the 831 decision. But then in 2022, would there be anything happening resulting in another decision by the NPCSC? These are the long-term thing, and there is no answer to all the questions. And in order to avoid any further problems, for the 2017 constitutional reform package, that's against the basic law. That's why I suggest that the SAR government should submit it, and you should make a written promise that in 2020 you will be scrapping all the functional constituency seats in this council, so that we'll be able to return all members to this council by one man, one vote. I believe that members will be willing to pass that package. And also during the past few years, there are many policies which have been leaked to the media through some sources before the formal announcement. I'm glad that we haven't really introduced Article 23 legislation or national security law into Hong Kong, or else many people will have breached the law. Thank you. Next, looking at the second round consultation, in fact, that's also based on the August 31 decision. And what is the most fundamental is that we're going to have 1,200 nominating committee members selecting the candidates for the CE election, who will be voted on by all the voters in Hong Kong. Yes, you said that it's a step forward. But then actually, only the 1,200 nominating committee member will be able to select the CE candidates. So what's the difference from the present situation? I don't think there is any difference. I couldn't remember which deputation said that that would be a waste of government resources if we allow for other forms of nomination. In fact, if you look at government policies, including the procurement or purchase of Dongjiang River water, the latest information is that we will have to spend some $13.5 billion for 3 years. Well, as a taxpayer, I don't think spending more money on the nominating process would be a problem. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. That's why my voice is shaking. Well, and if you look at that, I don't think it's a waste of taxpayers' money. Well, for the XRL package, actually you did not go for a cheaper version. You're actually going for a more expensive one. So that's some $20 billion more expensive. And what's the problem? If we have to spend some money on the nominating process, and earlier on, C.Y. Leung, well, he also asked Alan Leung about Mr. Leung's position on Hong Kong being an independent country. I'd like to put this to the government. All right, so many people have come forward to fight for universal suffrage. In fact, we are not fighting for independence. Well, C.Y. Leung might have thought about it himself, or he might have thought that for those who come forward to fight for genuine universal suffrage, we are also fighting for independence. In fact, in 1984, when the Joint Declaration was signed, it gave us a fair chance of selecting our chief executive by ourselves, and more than once we were told that Hong Kong's domestic affairs would be for Hong Kong to decide on. And this is not divisive, and this is not going for independence. In fact, that was agreed and promised to us. So why are you backtracking, and why are you imposing on us by the August 31 decision? And why are you suggesting that only the 1,200 members would be able to nominate or select the members or the candidates, so that we have 5 million voters in Hong Kong? Why are we not allowed to choose our own chief executive? Why do you have to choose them for us? So you're saying that you cannot overturn the decision by the NPCSC on August 31st. So it's a waste of time for us to give our views here. So if none of us come, then if you just pass this, so you think that we are doing some meaningless things, but then should we just allow you to pass that without our raising objection? So I'd like to say that if you think that we are going for independence, that would be endangering national securities. But then that's not what most of us who come forward have thought. So please do not smear us. Next, Hong Kong's political system should be decided by Hong Kong people, and it's not for independence. In fact, Article 1 of the Chinese Constitution already said that the country should be led by the workers, and therefore we are respecting people's rights. And therefore, under the PRC Constitution, we had the everything belongs to the people, and therefore the restricted decision imposed by the NPCSC on August the 31st is obviously against the Constitution. According to the Chinese Constitution, the NPC's power should not override that of the people, and therefore the decision by the NPCSC is not something that cannot be challenged and overturned. Hong Kong is a place where the rule of law prevails, and therefore we will have to adhere to the law. So even the police cannot say that the police can use the baton to beat up people, and if there is no legal basis, then the police officer would also have to be sanctioned and punished. Similarly, if the recommendation by the NPCSC is not supported by the people, and if it's not empowered by the people to do so, then there is no reason why the decision cannot be overturned. And that, and in fact, the decision does not have to be taken heed of, and there is no question of that having to be accepted by the people of Hong Kong, and that's not something that we all believe in. And therefore, we believe that we should allow the citizens to have civil nomination, and that would also be in line with the principle of the Chinese Constitution, whereby the people will always prevail. And we will have to scrap and abolish all functional constituency seats, so that all electoral members will be able to represent the people in discharging their duties and playing their role in this council, instead of having minority view prevail over the majority. And that's against the principle of the Chinese Constitution, whereby the people's aspiration would always prevail. And my view is that we do not have to abide by the decision by the NPCSC on August the 31st, and we should scrap all FC seats in this council, because it's affecting the operation of this council. This is my view. Next, Ms. Yim Menwa. I would fight for genuine universal suffrage. All right, I am the chairperson of the open and clean society, and for people who know nothing about democracy and they try to pretend that they know everything, and actually they do not have any vote, and anything that would deny people the chance to cast their votes would be undemocratic. Well, even in China, they also have universal suffrage, but then the they would only be allowed to choose between Communist Party member A and Communist Party member B, and so we should not be denied the choice. And if you ask us to pocket everything, then it would just be a fallacy. And what is most enraging by the NPCSC decision on August the 31st, Hong Kong is a cosmopolitan city, and we do not need an autocratic government to teach us as to what is meant by the rule of law and what is meant by democratic election. Well, let's not tell us that you are a democratic country. Even your food is not safe. And the reason why we have so many stores selling infant formula powder, that's because Chinese people do not dare to purchase their own food. That's why they will have to come over to Hong Kong to buy these food items. And when people are scared that they might be poisoned to death when they have a sip of wine on the mainland, then you should reflect on yourselves why you're making a mess of your own country and you have corrupt officials everywhere, and why are you telling us what's meant by the rule of law. I think you should go home. I think this is Hong Kong, this is not the mainland. And also, for the Taiwanese government, they have all people participation, and all civil servants and all officials would be elected by the public. That's what should be happening. But then Lau Kong-wah is earning several $1 million a year, and is he elected by the people of Hong Kong? And also, what about June 4th? You haven't really taken up your responsibility, and even Tam Yu Chong, the chairman, has also signed in an advertisement on the newspaper calling for those liable calling for the punishment of those who should be held liable. So do you really know what's rule of law? And this council is also not democratic, and definitely you are not acting in a democratic manner. In fact, the problem that we have is that the autocratic government has stolen the power from us, and I think we have been undermined by these officials who are not willing to step down. And what I lament most is that these are thieves, and still they are in power, and they are holding the positions in government. And what's so important about national security? If people have to scare about what they are eating, and if they are not really able to get to be sure about whether they will survive until the sun sets, then I think everything is just false. That's all I'd like to say. Well, on the 18th of March 1993, Lu Ping, when he gave an interview, he said that the LegCo would be returned by Universal Suffrage, and then the chief executive would also have to be returned by Universal Suffrage, and the first, second, and third term of the government would be returned by what is provided for under the Basic Law. But then after 2007, the third term of government would be formed by the decision by the people of Hong Kong, so long as there is 2/3 majority support in the Legislative Council with the consent of the Chief Executive, and then the decision will have to be reported to the NPCSC for report of a record. And then there is no need for the central government to agree on anything. And then for the democracy in Hong Kong, that would be within the autonomy of Hong Kong's affairs, and the central people's government would not be interfering with those decisions. And yet the August 31st decision by the NPCSC is obviously against the Constitution as well as the Basic Law. And, Shek Wing Tai, or Paul Share, from the Bar Association, said that the August 31st decision was unfair to us. In fact, what we should have said is that it's against the law, and Mrs. Carrie Lam should be fully aware of that. She should be fully aware of the fact that it's a violation of the Basic Law. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I'm of the view that Carrie Lam said that it's safer to have half of the nominating committee members' endorsement before any candidate can run for the election. And we can wait till 2022 before any new proposal will be proposed, and if you do not agree to this package, then this will last forever. That is, over half. The candidates will have to get the support of more than half of the nominating committee members' support before they can run. I'd rather that we have a standstill or an impasse than having this package passed, because that would spell that would be a kiss of death for Hong Kong.
Thank you. Personally, I think one of our important core value is the rule of law. I think the majority of the people in Hong Kong would agree. The method for electing the CE, I believe, should follow the stipulations of the basic law. Unless in future we're going to change the basic law. Otherwise, I mean, if there is a new provision in the basic law and provides for civic nomination, then we can follow that. But at present stage, I think we should focus on the existing arrangements of the basic law and the MPC decision and come to a consensus. If we continue our quarrel, it would not be a meaningful exercise. Regarding the second round of the consultation paper for the second round of consultation, I'd like to first of all point out that the method for forming the nomination committee should be such that we should retain the 4 sectors. Whenever you hear the word sector, I don't want you to have the impression that it means a small circle election. Hong Kong is a pluralistic society. People from different sectors will speak different voices. They represent different organizations. The representatives have to speak on behalf of their own constituents. And all the sectors, we should have their own representatives, making the choices. And secondly, the procedure for nominating the CE candidate. I think there should be, recommendation and nomination by members. But personally, I don't think the threshold should be set at too high a level. I believe that the threshold should be lowered to 100 nominations, and then a candidate could become officially the candidate. And the nomination procedure should be made more transparent. For example, the nomination committee can make nominations through a plenary meeting so that the public will know about the manifesto and the visions of the candidates. At the actual nomination, stage, then I think members can cast their votes by secret ballots. And members who have obtained more than 50% of nominations can officially become the candidates. If you have no candidates getting the majority, more than half of the nominations, then I think there should be a new round of voting. Regarding the arrangement for the voting for the election of the CE, I personally believe that there should be only a single round of votes. If we are going to have more than one round of voting, then a lot of resources would have to be used. And if we look at the district council election, where candidates are returned by one man, one vote system, and the candidate with the majority, highest number of votes will be returned, and I think that can also apply to our CE election. Next, Mr. Fong Ming. Good morning. The Occupy Central movement in 2017 has finally ended. Today, I have been entrusted by my own association to express my support for returning the CE in 2017 by Universal Suffrage, and that the election should follow the requirements of the Basic Law and the decision of the NPCSC. At the same time, regarding the CE election in 2017, I'd like to make the 3 following proposals. First of all, regarding the nomination method. First of all, recommendation that regarding the composition of the 1,200 members, each member can recommend one candidate, and a candidate with a nomination recommendation by 100 members can become a candidate. We want more people to contest the election. The nomination committee should nominate more candidates. At the nomination stage, if 1,200 members of the committee, if 100 members can nominate one candidate, then there should be a total of 12 candidates. and each member of the nomination election committee can elect 1 to 3 contestants, and those candidates, the 2 or 3 candidates who get more than half of the votes from the members will officially become the candidates for the CE election. Because by doing so, we would have respected the choice of all the members of the whole committee. Also, the operation would be simple. Secondly, regarding the amendment to the Universal Suffrage arrangement, all 5 million voters can vote for once, and the candidate with the highest number of votes will be returned as the CE. That way, we can ensure that there is competition, and also, and thirdly, regarding all the different arguments, all the people of Hong Kong will be able to cast their votes. I think for the time being, we should cast aside our quarrels and disputes, and we should respect the decision of the NPCSC and follow the basic law, so that we can have the first, election of our CE by universal suffrage. I still have some time, and I've just come from Australia. This is the 15th anniversary of my return to Hong Kong from Australia. It would appear that Hong Kong has become a more and more political society. People have more awareness about democracy, and that is a good thing. On the other hand, I'm worried that in Hong Kong we should respect the spirit of the rule of law. Thank you. Next, Mr. Ngai Ming Tak. Thank you. The 5 steps for political reform, we've already gone into the 3rd stage. We're at an important crossroad. If the proposal for political reform were endorsed, all 5 million voters in Hong Kong would have the right to elect their own election. On the path of the democratic development, should we stand still or move forward? This is the crucial moment. Undoubtedly, the political reform should follow the basic law and the decision of the NPCSC. We should abide by the law. System should be fair. We should respect the one country system, and also we should give due respect to the need for prosperity and stability in Hong Kong. The CE also should be loyal to the motherland and Hong Kong. The NPCSC decision provides that stipulate that we should form a nomination committee, and that there should be 2 or 3 candidates to ensure there is a competitive election. And the successful candidate should get the support of more than half of the nomination committee. I have 3 suggestions. First of all, the threshold for candidates to be elected. The threshold could be lower from 1/8 to 10% amongst the 1,200 candidates. Each member can nominate 1 candidate, so that the number of contestants can be up to 10. So we are increasing the opportunity for more people to be eligible to become candidates. At the same time, we don't need to waste a lot of resources. And secondly, we should ensure that more people can join the race, and if each candidate can get will qualify if they got 240 votes, then at least there will be 5 candidates. And also the members of the committee can nominate 3 members, and then by secret ballot they can choose 3 of the 3 candidates. They must choose 3, and the 3 candidates with the highest number of votes will then enter the next round of election by universal suffrage, and that way it's more likely that we'll have 3 candidates, that we can present to the voters for choice. And also there should be 2 rounds of election to elect the CE. During the first round, the candidates who have obtained more than half the votes will be elected. If all 3 candidates don't get 50% of votes, then the first 2 will have another round of election, and the winner in the second round will be elected as the CE. The candidate for the CE election, if elected, will be nominated will be appointed by the CPG. We are now moving along the path of democratic development. We have to make a start before there could be improvements, and then we can develop a democratic system that is suitable for Hong Kong in a step-by-step manner. We cannot stand still. We've now come to the crucial stage. 1 person, 1 vote is already in front of us. So I'd like to urge all electoral members to really shoulder the historic responsibility. Thank you. Next, Mr. Leung Wang Ching. Today, I represent the Hong Kong Elite Society Association to express our views on the CE election for 2017. Returning the CE in 2017 by universal suffrage is something that we've been looking forward to. This is the first time that the people of Hong Kong has a chance to elect our own leader. If within our generation we can witness that happening, then it would indeed be a historic moment. Regarding the size and composition of the nomination committee, our association hopes that we can follow the decision of the MPCNC on August 31st last year. That is, we should retain the same number of 1,200 members of the election committee, and that the committee should comprise of 4 sectors. And we believe that the nomination committee constituted in this manner can represent the different sectors of our society, including the business sector, the religious sector, NGOs, the professionals, and the political sector. And by using this, and this is a democratic way to reflect, our political system. And also through this system, we believe that all the CE returned by all the voters in Hong Kong, namely the candidate nominated by the nomination committee, can really ensure that Hong Kong will have a balanced and comprehensive development. Regarding the threshold for or eligibility for candidates to become candidates, we believe that the threshold could be lowered to 100 to 120 nominations. And once a candidate obtains such a number, they can stand forward, come forward as candidates. Regarding the nomination method, we agree that they should be done by way of secret ballot, and each member of the nomination committee can cast a maximum of 3 votes. We strongly look forward to the return of the CE in 2017 by universal suffrage, so that Hong Kong can really enter the new era of democracy. I hope that the different sectors of our community will cherish that, and the public will also cast the votes to return the CE by universal suffrage. I also like to appeal to all the electoral members to fight for the CE election by universal suffrage in 2017. Next, Ms. Hon Legislative. I agree that we should follow the stipulations of the Basic Law and the MPCAC decision made on August 31st last year to return the CE by universal suffrage in 2017. And I'd like to propose the following amendments. First of all, I think the nomination committee should maintain the existing arrangement, that is, it should have 4 sectors. There should be 1,200 members, and the subsectors should remain the same. Because with such a minimal change, we can. It is actually in compliance with the Basic Law and the MPCSC decision. I also suggest that each member of the nomination commission can nominate 1 candidate, and a candidate with the endorsement of 120 members can become the official candidate. That way we can ensure more candidates to contest the election. Nomination committee can also have the chance to nominate more candidates. And secondly, I propose that each member of the nomination committee can elect 3 candidates the 3 candidates with the highest number of votes can become the official candidates. Operationally, that is simple and easy to implement. Regarding the universal suffrage, the CE should be returned by universal suffrage. If no candidate has obtained more than 50% of the votes, then there should be a new round of election to ensure that the candidate return will have the mandate. In order that all 5 million voters in Hong Kong can vote for and choose our CE, I hope that the political reform package will be endorsed. Liat Nam. Thank you. I represent the Shop Till You Drop Revolution Team Hong Kong. The government's proposal for the return of the CE for the CE election in 2017 claims that it is increasing the element of democracy, and ask the public to accept it for the time being. This is actually, fake democracy. This proposal is actually a mockery of our wisdom. Does it mean that a one-man vote election is a genuine, universal suffrage? Universal suffrage includes the nomination, the right to vote and right to be nominated. If the member public cannot be nominated, then it would be like universal suffrage Putin style or North Korean style. The public simply doesn't have any choice. This is actually fake democracy. The nomination committee is actually a small circle that is manipulated by the CPG, and the candidates nominated by this committee must have been screened by the CPG beforehand, and the people of Hong Kong will be forced to choose among the 2 or 3 candidates which have been screened beforehand by the CPG. The CE return in this manner definitely will claim that he has the mandate of the people.
Yet in reality, they've been cherry-picked by the central authorities, and they would not stand up for the interests of Hong Kong people. They would only be working for the interests of the Beijing government. So they will be just the same they will be just the same as C.Y. Leung, and they will be currying favor from the Communist Party, and they will be selling off Hong Kong people. There are many pro-democracy, pro-establishment camp representatives here, and of course they have the right to speak. But then after listening to their remarks, I just think that they will simply not hold any water. If you look at the NPCSC decision, why can't it be withdrawn? Why is genuine universal suffrage against the Basic Law? Which provision under the Basic Law says that we cannot have civil nomination? In fact, true democracy is what Hong Kong people are entitled to. Why is it that we have been demonized by other parties when we are fighting for true democracy? Well, we have the Undersecretary Lau Kong-wah here. I don't know if he's aware of that. In fact, his name has become the synonym of rubbish bin. So for the Consultation Committee on the Constitutional package, does it mean that for anybody with a dissenting view, then such views would be thrown into the rubbish bin by the government? Next, Mr. Ng Yip Pui. Good morning, everyone. All of you are gone. So is it that you feel very bored? All right, I'll be very succinct and precise. I'm just an ordinary citizen in Hong Kong, and we all say that we want true democracy and universal suffrage. I think only when we can cast the vote, then we will be able to enjoy true democracy. Well, for the decision taken by the NPCSC, all right, you're trying to overturn it. Well, please, you're taking away people's power. In fact, in 2017, I'd like to have the right to vote for the chief executive by universal suffrage. Well, just think about it. What are your views? Why can't we just set aside the differences and try to come up with a consensus? I'm in favor of sitting down and sorting things out together. Next, Mr. Chow Chin To. Thank you. I agree with what Mr. Kwai Ting Kong just said. Since the Occupy movement, I think it's more than 3 months now, we are all of the view that, Hong Kong community is having this unrest, and I hope that the Pan-Democrats and this council can have a harmonious relationship. And with the remarks made by an earlier speaker, in fact, the central government is going after the big tigers, and even the chairman of the Communist Party is trying to undertake reforms, and we also already have astronauts going into space, and therefore we should not look back. We should always look forward. And as general citizens in Hong Kong, all we want is for everybody to have a job and everybody having a good living. And we all want Hong Kong to remain stable and prosperous. I hope that every Hong Konger in 2017 will be able to come forward and elect their chief executive. So please remember to register as a voter. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chang Hui-lun. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Well, what I'd like to say is I represent myself alone, and I fully support the NPCSC decision on August the 31st. And I would give my full backing for the decision so that we can elect our chief executive in 2017 by universal suffrage. And I think the suggestion is very good, and there is no need to change it at all, because electing the chief executive must have a basis. So after you have cast your votes, and if you find that this candidate is problematic, and if you have to make changes, and if you have to make a decision again, well, it's not that we are trying to pick bones from the whole thing, and we try to veto it just because of that. Well, that would be a waste of time. Well, in 2014, during the Occupy movement, I think it's a waste of Hong Kong people's time, and I'd like to remind those occupiers or participants of the movement, well, you know that it's a futile attempt, and still you made that attempt. You knew well in advance that you would never succeed, and why still have you wasted Hong Kong people's time and caused the division in our society? Now I'd like to turn to this. That is, during the past few decades, well, the Chinese government has developed in leaps and bounds, and instead of being a very impoverished country, now we are a very prosperous country. There is no need to query the success or achievements of China. And under the leadership of the Chinese government, I think the Hong Kong SL government will be able to do a remarkable job in running Hong Kong, and therefore the decision is not wrong at all, and it's also for the interest of Hong Kong's community. And for state leaders, I don't know if you've ever paid attention to the remarks. They said that, well, even if we want to have a democracy, we must first make sure that our people are well fed. But then these are people, well, for the people participating in the Occupy movement, they're crashing our rice bowls, and every day I'm worried about myself, my family, and our living. And I earnestly call upon all democratic lawmakers, well, Hong Kong people need to have pragmatic lawmakers who would be serving us, who would be working for the well-being of Hong Kong people. But then during the past few years, I've not seen you do anything that would genuinely serve the interests of the Hong Kong community. I only saw you walk out from the chambers and also throwing things at the chief executive and so on. I would hope that you would do what you've been hired to do. Next, Mr. Pang Tak Fat. I support the 2017 package, and I agree with the decision taken by the NPCSC on August the 31st, so that we can elect the chief executive in 2017 by the package proposed by the NPCSC for the 4 subsectors, and also the 38 subsectors, and also the electoral basis for the 38 subsectors, and also the election methods should remain unchanged. And then for the composition of the subsectors and so on, I think they've been in place for many years, and Hong Kong people are well aware of that, and they all accept that. In 2017, the critical thing is that I will be able to allow the 5 million eligible voters to elect the chief executive by one man, one vote. The Occupy movement has wasted a lot of time, and we should resolve those problems. And the pan-democrats are actually standing in the way of our livelihood. That's why people's livelihood has been directly affected. And in 2017, if we are able to speed up the whole process so that we can have one man, one vote for the chief executive in 2017, then that would ensure the stability and prosperity for Hong Kong. And the CE incumbent should also be a person who loves the country and loves Hong Kong. And now there are many people who are not really adhering to those principles. At the same time, I would also like to call upon the Pan-Democrats and the Occupy movement participants, please make amends before it's too late. You will have to ensure that the 2017 constitutional reform package can be passed smoothly in this council. All right, Yin Menhua is not here anymore. All right, she talked about the pseudo-democracy in Taiwan. In fact, it's fake democracy too. Well, in Taiwan, I used to run a travel agent, and I used to go there, and you can see that the democratic system there is a fake one. All right, they've only got two political parties. Either is Kuomintang or the DPP. So how can you call that democracy if you only have two parties to choose from? And also on food safety, in fact, that would affect our state security. Next, Mr. Li Lianchang. Thank you, Chairman. I absolutely support the August 31st decision, and I'd also like to respond to the remarks made by Ms. Yim. She's also a member of the community in Hong Kong, and she said that when people walk on the street, they could also have their head beaten up by the police, and they could also get arrested. But then, is it happening to everyone in Hong Kong? Of course not. So does it mean that we have shark in the sea and therefore we should never swim, and there are also vehicles on the roads and we should never cross the roads? So by what she's doing, how can that be good to our country as a whole? And I'd also like to respond to another speaker's remarks. Well, in fact, I think it's good for the government to control the entire country and Hong Kong. And for people living in Hong Kong, so far, I think we are all feeling very good, or else many people would have left. For the 2017 CE Universal Suffrage, well, I would call that a genuine democracy, and constitutional reforms should be done in a progressive manner. And if we do not approve that, then there will be a standstill. Well, constitutional reforms will have to be decided by the central authorities. It's not something that we can just easily overturn. We should not just copy the experience elsewhere. So can we have a Western market in Hong Kong, and would it be accepted by the people of Hong Kong? No, of course not. So how many people are they representing? Is it that we should go by the majority rule? And who can represent the pandemic? Who from the Democratic camp do they think that can run Hong Kong successfully? No. Well, if they were to nominate someone who can run Hong Kong successfully, then are they going to elect someone who would be distorting Hong Kong's values and who would be causing this rift in our society? And every time in this council, every time from what I seen, all right, they would just be throwing objects at other people, and they would just be causing disorder in this chambers. So would that be good for Hong Kong? I hope that these lawmakers would not be wasting our time anymore. Thank you. Next, Wong Tai Hoi. Thank you. I'm from the Young Entrepreneurs Association of Chinese. Concerning the 2017 CE election, we have already submitted our written submission, and we agree with the proposal by the administration. Well, since the Occupy movement last year, as we can see, a lot of time has been wasted. There has been filibustering, and there are lawmakers who are anti-Chinese, and they will veto anything from China. In fact, for those of us from the business sector, we used to be rather lukewarm when it comes to politics, but then we came to realize from last year's Occupy movement that if we do not speak out, then the Occupy movement will just continue forever. That's why we hope that in 2017, so long as Hong Kong people are willing to come forward, then we'll be able to elect our chief executive by one man, one vote, and under the framework by the NPCSC, and also according to the basic law, we can have some serious discussion so that under one country, two systems, we all know that Hong Kong is under the one country, two systems, and that's why electing the chief executive in Hong Kong should follow strictly the provisions under the basic law. We have already got this framework, and there are some lawmakers from the pan-democratic camp who are trying to stage a revolution in Hong Kong. Well, please do not do it in Hong Kong because the price would be too high for us to pay, and therefore we should sit down and discuss and sort things out. Thank you.
Wong Yat Fong. I represent the Taxi Drivers and Operation Association. Regarding the method for returning to CE in 2017, we have 10,900 members in our association. We have 23 executive members. All of us unanimously support the decision of the NPCSC on August 31st last year. Specifically, our association has already put in a written submission. I believe you would be able to read it. I don't want to elaborate any further on what is written in the submission. Thank you. Well, all the deputations and individuals have already spoken, and it is now time for Mr. Lau Kong Wah to give us an overall response. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to also thank all the deputations and individuals for attending the hearing today. I've listened carefully to all your views, and the fact that we're able to exchange our views in a peaceful manner is indeed a good thing. Many of the deputations and individuals refer to the nomination procedure, the method of nomination, and also the voting procedure. All these are specific suggestions which are useful to us. In the second round of consultation, we would like to listen to more of such specific suggestions so that in March, when the consultation ends, your views will be the basis that we can incorporate in our proposal, which we submit to LegCo. When we submit our proposal to LegCo, members of this council will have the right to either approve or not approve our proposal. When you were speaking, I heard many of you reflecting the views of the general public that our political system will not stand still. Because eventually, for 5 million eligible voters to have the right to vote is much better than simply having 1,200 people casting the votes. We've heard that. We've also heard some of you propose that you will rather stay put. I listened very carefully, and one of the reasons you gave is that once a decision is made, no further changes will be possible in the future. Well, I can say this to those of you that as circumstances change, it is not possible that the laws will remain, will stand still. According to Section 7 in Annex 1 of the Basic Law, I think it is possible that we can make amendments. We can go through the 5 steps and make the amendments accordingly. So if we can take the first step today, and we can gradually perfect a system that would be compatible with the concept of orderly and progressive, change. But today, all 5 million voters in Hong Kong are looking forward to the opportunity to cast votes to return to CE 2 years from now. I hope that members of Council will endorse our proposal. We fully understand that even within this Council, there are members of different views. Some will support our proposal, others against them. But we still have a few more months. I hope that those members who are against our proposal will have the opportunity to reflect further and listen to the views of the public and support our proposal. Thank you. We have about 10 more minutes. Let me see how many members would like to ask questions. We have An Giang, Wong Kok Heng, Lee Chek Yen, and Mr. Raymond Chan, 4 members altogether. Shall we say 3 minutes each? We start with Dr. An Giang. Thank you. Today, I have heard 2 different voices. One group of the deputations would like to have universal suffrage in 2017 because at least it's better to have universal suffrage than not because they would be able to cast the votes to choose the CE. The other group doesn't want universal suffrage. They want Hong Kong to become an independent state. I've also heard Mr. Lee, who has put it very well, that is the condition in Hong Kong good? You look at the actual situation. More and more people would like to live in Hong Kong. Foreigners from different parts of the world would like to come. Even before 1997, those who had emigrated are now gradually returning to Hong Kong. But now there are many people who don't like Hong Kong. If you ask them to leave and emigrate again, they would not like to leave either. So in other words, Hong Kong is a very, very attractive place that people like to stay. I therefore would like to ask the Secretary this question. You always say that we have 5 million voters in Hong Kong, but in practice, we only have about 3.5, 3.6 million people who are registered voters. So going forward, how are you going to step up the publicity in order to encourage more people of Hong Kong to register as voters? Permanent Secretary? I think what Ms. Chang has pointed out is indeed something that we are also very concerned about. It is a fact that 5 million people are eligible as voters, but that doesn't mean that all of them have been registered yet. We only have about 3 million odd voters who are registered. There are still some people who have yet to register as voters. On the one hand, we would use the traditional approach by way of APIs on television, or when young people, apply for the ID cards, we would recommend that they register as voters. The different political parties are also doing their promotion in different districts. This time, the consultation on political reform. During this stage of consultation, we found out that quite a number of people have volunteered to register as voters because they very much hope to participate in the CE election in 2017. And we hope that after they have registered, and if our proposal were approved by LegCo, then I hope that the proposal will become reality. Many of you have already expressed the concern of the people of Hong Kong in politics. So whether it's the traditional method or whether even if our political environment change, I hope that all eligible voters will really participate in the election. Mr. Wong Kok Heng, I welcome all the deputations for expressing the views on political reform today. But some people are taking this opportunity to, advocate independence for Hong Kong. And I'd like to express my regret. And also, I'd like to condemn such, comments. I am against any attempt to make Hong Kong an independent entity. Hong Kong enjoys a high level of autonomy under the one country, two system scenario. We should follow the decision of the MPCSC made on August 31st last year to implement political reform in Hong Kong so that we would be able to elect our CE by universal suffrage as soon as possible. Chairman, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask Mr. Lau, the Permanent Secretary, to respond. Just now, several deputations have pointed out that the decision of the MPCSC on August 31st last year was against the Constitution and the Basic Law. I believe that such an allegation is a very serious one, and I've also noticed that recently there are people in our society who are being very outspoken and claim that the decision of the MPCSC is illegal, which is similar to the comments made by some people here this morning. I think the SAR government cannot evade this issue. It should state categorically that as the SAR government, how do you interpret this? That is, whether or not the decision of the MPCSC on August 31st is illegal. Deputy Secretary? Chairman. There are several levels to Mr. Wong's question. First of all, the basic law originates from the Constitution of our country. And secondly, the MPCSC itself is the highest authority of our country, and its decisions, the decisions of the MPCSC is a decision with a legal basis. As an SAR of our country, we have to abide by such decisions. Thirdly, according to the basic law and the decision of the MPCSC, we map out our resolutions that we'll propose to LegCo. This is actually compatible with the Constitution and in compliance with the law. If we really want to promote democracy, if we really want to implement universal suffrage, we need a legal basis for that. The legal basis for that now it's based on the basic law and the MPCSC. So long as we follow that legal basis, we will be able to, take the next step forward. Richard Yan. I think there's still freedom of speech in this council, and Mr. Wong Kok Heng is expressing his loyalty and condemning people who advocate Hong Kong independence. Why don't you condemn the decision of the MPCSC on August 31st? Because it's against the Constitution, it's against the basic law. There should have been 3 steps, and now even the MPC is going against violating the 5 step. Because the MPC should not direct Hong Kong as to how it should amend its own electoral method. It only has the right to confirm that. But the MPC is usurping our autonomy. It's also setting all these restrictions. And N. Chiang said that Hong Kong is a wonderful place, but this wonderful place is now being interfered with by the CPG, and originally this is a very, very blessed place, but now it's no longer the case. And Mr. Lau Kong Wah said that we can accept the package now. There is still room for improvement as time changes. But 2 days ago, Mr. Tam Chi Yuen put it very clearly that after you've accepted the present proposal, when there's room for amendment in future, and then he changed his tone and said that we have to accept what is proposed now forever, and that there cannot be any universal suffrage in 2020, and that the FC cannot be scrapped. He said that in 2022, we will still need the C candidate to get more than half of the nominations by the nomination committee. So Lau Kong Wah, please, explain this very clearly to the people of Hong Kong. Don't lie to us anymore. Like Mr. Tam Chi Yuen, it's not just a temporary arrangement. This is for good. If you, abolish universal suffrage for 2017, does it mean that the August 31, decision will bind us, beyond that? If that's the case, we may as well not accept your proposal and continue with our fight. Chairman, there are 2 points here. According to the decision of the MPCSC, in 2017, we will first of all have universal suffrage for the CE. And if that step was successfully implemented, then we can proceed with universal suffrage for the electoral election. But Mr. Tam Chi Yuen said this is not possible. Well, there is a legal basis there. Secondly, as to whether or not there is room for further amendments. In my conclusion, I've already said earlier that in Section 7 of Annex 1 of the Basic Law, sets that even if we endorse the method for the 2017 C election. Annex 1 of the basic law still exists. And therefore, in future, we can still make amendments pursuant to that provision and make the necessary amendments pursuant to the 5 steps. Mr. Raymond Chan, I think Mr. Tam Yu Chin was making a very casual remark. He wouldn't be in place anymore. So whether or not there could be any changes in 2022, I don't think he can give you any specific answers. And first of all, I'd like to thank all the deputations for attending our hearing today, especially the lady who pointed out that even though it would be a futile exercise, she still came to express her opposition. And I agree, because if we do not revoke the decision of the NBCSC, all 27 members of the Democratic camp would object to the present proposal. Discussing the details of the proposal would be a waste of time. That is also my mentality. And just now somebody said that they were against people wearing yellow, anything in yellow, and that's why I come. I don't know whether Mrs. Carrie Lam and Tam Jin have returned from Shenzhen yet. I'd like to say this to them. They are attending each and every, constituent session organized by the local organizations, but in this council, I think when elected members are deliberating on this proposal, they are not here. And all for the deputations, many of the deputations, after they finish with the 3-minute speech, they have also left.
Well, most people who are in support of the constitutional reform package proposed by the administration would say that there are 5 million eligible voters and therefore we should not let go the opportunity. Well, yes, there are many people who are staunchly against the August 31st restrictive framework. That's why my question for the administration is, yes, we do not have a referendum law in Hong Kong, but then if the administration would really like to discuss the issue with the Pan-Democrats here, then I think the most important thing is for you to do a one-man, one-vote opinion poll instead of engaging a poster to do it for you. All right, you have to allow the Hong Kong people to express their views, and if it shows that majority of the public are in support of the August 31st restrictive framework, then you can come back again to try to lobby the Pan-Democrats. So can that be done? Undersecretary, first of all, I'd like to state that, in dealing with the constitutional reform package, the Chief Secretary is in the same team as we do, and therefore it's just a division of labor when we decide who is to participate in a particular event. With regard to the CS views and also Mr. Raymond Tam's views, well, number one, he reiterated that even if we made a progress in 2017, there's still room for further improvement and progress, and that's the point that he was trying to making. And he also reflected some sectors' views, and he hoped that there would be further room for further discussion with the Pan-Democrats. As regards the specific question raised by Mr. Raymond Chan with regard to referendum or allowing the public to cast their votes, in this system there is no legal basis for this. But then, when necessary, we do not rule the possibility of conducting a major opinion poll. And if Mr. Chan, you think that that would help you change your mind, then we will absolutely be prepared to discuss that with you. All right, I think that's time for us to wrap up our session here. And once again, I'd like to thank the deputations and individuals, and then we will start with session 2 right away.